How's it going, guys? We are out in Elm Creek here today. This is kind of close to our home farm. Working with a grower on his 550 bushel 1910 and 43 foot 1895. These are pretty, sorry for the wind. This is a pretty new drill, new cart, really nice shape, like thing you could eat off of. This year we did tank pressure kits on all 3 tanks. He's been having issues getting barley seeded properly, and what we're trying to achieve here is proper tank pressure on all 3 tanks, exactly what it's supposed to be. And you can see that they've put a camera there because the camera makes most sense. So what I want to show you here today is we're going to hit the calibrate switch here. Just metered some product out of the ground. This cart's really nice. We just got the fan speed dialed in. We pulled the hose out of an opener, stuck it up. We got both the seed rows and the mid rows set at about 24 inches of shooting straight up because we were running way too much fan speed before. And then we also tuned in the plenum because he's putting a difference of rates. He's putting like 280 pounds of nitrogen down the mid rows, and he's putting about probably about 180 pounds down the seed rows of nitrogen starter phos blend, and his mat blend with his wheat. And I want to show you here the difference in seed breaks, what we're doing. So right now we're demoing 1 tower of seed breaks on this first row here, and we're just kind of showing what that looks like. Right here, without seed breaks, this is where your seed placement is, all the way from here, back here, blown behind the boot. These are the rows in transport position here, and this is just me calibrating out product. Now let's go to a seed break. All of it right here. That's the difference. It is clear to see. See all of this, all the way back here? That's all the seed that's going to end up on top of your ground and not down to your moisture. So we run these seed breaks on a 40-foot drill all the way open. So there's shims here that you can adjust how much air you exhaust. So if you remove these shims here, you can thread this cap back down and it chokes off the amount of air. So we run them all the way open on a 40-foot drill. We want to exhaust the most amount of air possible. Now some people will say, will my rows plug if I don't have any air going through the rows? You still have a little bit of air, but you don't need any air. The reason is the seed boot on these John Deere disc drills is protected by the disc. It doesn't stick into the soil at all. If you're plugging with them, you would have plugged without them. The proof to that is you can still order a brand new 1590 or equivalent box drill today with the same rows, and it's all gravity. But that's the proof right there of what kind of job we're doing. Here's the mid row. You can see it a little bit better when it's all urea. Here's the seed boot. Here's your fertilizer. Right? That just kind of shows how much air you have pushing that. It's just rocketing into the trench. You need a lot of velocity to get it from the cart all the way to here. But once you get it into the tower, it is just rocketing into the trench at Mach 9. So we need to diffuse that air, mechanically slow the product down and drop it into the trench. This has been a real proof today when we've been digging for seed. You still see the odd seed on top of the ground with wheat, but all of it's down in there. So it poses the question, can you lower your seeding rates at all? Because you're not going to have as much seed mortality. On a wet year, when you're going to get a rain right after seeding, if you're promised a rain right after seeding, do you need to run a nice fancy drill, nice fancy cart to get the crop in? What does it really matter? But the years, everything matters when you're doing a seeding job. It's the one chance you get to put the crop in the ground. On the good springs, it's going to be that much better. On the bad springs where you got to get her in and the moisture isn't there or it's too wet, it's not going to make it as bad. It's not going to be as bad as the neighbor. But doing things like that to improve your seeding job is what we do. Things that will actually pay. Now, what we were seeing when we were digging in the trench is almost zero seed. Now a John Deere seed boot is very prone to seed bounce. The firming wheel helps out a little bit of knocking it back down into the trench. You know, this drill's running brand new seed tabs. It's running John Deere Pro Series seed tabs, which are good tabs. It's running spike closing wheels, but there's seed on top of the ground. So there was like 15% of the seed in the bottom of the trench. There's seed all in dry soil on the top. Like we're working right here with like, you know, 2 inches of dry soil, and then we get into the clay and into the moisture. So when we actually dig down into the moisture, we have very little seed in the bottom of the trench. A lot of it's in the dry soil, and a lot of it gets covered up, but it's still in dry soil. So when you're walking along, oh, there's not too much seed on top of the ground, but there is. And if you get a rain right after seeding here, no big deal. It'll come up, and you might not notice the difference. But when you start doing plant counts and you start seeing from the first plant to come out of the ground to the last plant to come out of the ground, you actually time your emergence properly, and you actually go and look and you flag fields, you notice quite the difference with running seed brakes. It is not a scam. It is not. Now the big problem with seed brakes is you need them mounted right near the opener. So a lot of guys that have put them on John Deere disc drills in the past, they put the seed tube and it comes right out of the seed tube, and then they put a short piece of hose and then they put the seed brake on top of that. Well, the problem with the seed brake on top of that seed tube is it's way too high, so it hits the frame, and that little chunk of hose, it just falls over. Well, you got to think, if it's falling over, you've exhausted all of your air and there's no more velocity, so it's very easy for them to plug. So with our design here, that seed brake goes right into the tube, right into the boot, and the seed brake becomes your seed tube, and it's vertical right at the opener. People ask, do you need to run more, like can I run more fan speed? Well, sure you could, and it'll protect you a little bit with that, but you never want to. You always want to run the right amount of fan speed, and that's what we were getting dialed in today here on these 2 drills. We got 2 of them. Fan speed is so crucial. The way that you check that is you pull a hose out of the opener, out of the seed tube, or out of any opener, and this is on any drill. This is an old trick back in the Flexicool days, and it still holds true to this day. You pull an opener, a hose out of an opener, pointed straight upwards, and you meter out the product, and you got to sit on the drill. Sounds crazy to some people, and people don't think that that's necessary. It is very necessary. You pull that hose out of that opener, you stick it straight up, you zip tie it to the frame, and you drop your drill on the ground with the ground speed you're trying to achieve with the rate you're putting out, and you should be aiming for 24 inches, 12 to 24 inches coming out of that hose. If you have more than that, you got way too much fan speed. Slow it down. You're wearing out hoses, you're not gonna plug, so slow your fan speed down. And you're just wearing out hoses faster, and you're sacrificing the job you're doing when you're seeding. And if you have less than that, well, when you maybe give your tractor a little bit of steering input, and it requires a little bit more hydraulics, well then your fan speed's dropping, you're prone to plug. Or let's say you're pulling up a hill, if you're in some hilly ground, and now your cart's got to push all that product uphill, well now you might plug. So you want to be between 12 and 24 inches. And so we brought down his fan speed. So he was seeding about 280 pounds of fertilizer and about 180 pounds of seed. That's a lot of product to put out. So he thought 4,000 RPM, or no, he was running at 4,300. By the time I left here now, he is now running at 3,500. So he's almost dropped 1,000 RPM. He's saving hoses, he's doing a better job seeding, and he's running less fan, less hydraulics, cooler hydraulics, less fuel, whatever you want to equate it to. It's all good things. So knocking that fan speed down, really a good thing. Running seed brakes, really good thing. You always want to run the right amount of fan speed, and set your plenum, set your baffle. If it doesn't work, give us a call, we'll get you fixed up. But tuning the drill is needed every year. Do these things, don't let them get away on you, because it's very easy to blame that we didn't get a rain after seeding. But if all of our product's down in the moisture, we should at least be trying to get that ground moisture to push our crop out, and planning on that, and not farming as if the rain's coming and it's gonna save us. So when a rain comes, we all look like a hero. Covers up all of our mistakes. Everybody did a really good job. Everybody's drill did a really good job. The drill doesn't need any work. It did such a nice job. You always want to do the best job on the years that we don't get the moisture. So I think that's what we're doing now. We got this drill set up properly, got his depth set correctly, down pressure set correctly on the drill. I say this a lot and I'll say it again. Stand on your drill. Sit on your drill. Watch what kind of job you're doing. You can't see the rows from the track. See what kind of job you're doing when you're standing on the drill. If you think it's a little unsafe, it's not. It's pretty smooth. It's pretty darn smooth. And don't let it hurt you. If you need to, build a chair and put a chair on the drill. These guys are running real good now, and we're gonna leave them alone. We're getting filled up, and today's the last day of wheat for them. Then they're switching to canola, and that's where she really matters, and that's where your seed bounce really matters. So, can you save a little bit of seed? You can answer that question. Can you save a little bit of seed if not all your seed's on top of the ground and it's all down to the moisture where it's supposed to be? Can you cut back your seeding rate and get those seed breaks to pay for themselves? Yes, you can. But tell me what your thoughts are. If you think I'm wrong, I'm more than happy to. I'm always willing to be challenged, but they do a real darn good job. Try them out. Give us a call if you got questions. Thanks for watching this video. I got another drill to get to. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.